move on to something. I've talked a little bit about it already on the internet. Some today with LA Times scribe Mike DiGiovanna. Last night, Jeff Snyder and I talked about it on Locked On Dodgers, but we did see an emotional return to the bump for Dodgers pitcher Dustin May. You guys remember him? D-May back in the flesh. What's left of it, scoreless debut on 15 pitches, working around a little bit of traffic in that debut. And you saw the emotions. I love the emotions out of Dustin. Comes off the mound, and I really thought he was just going to break down completely there. If you guys haven't seen his post-game scrum as well, check it out. Our friends at the Bleed Lows podcast have the full version, as well as you can find some clips from Sportsnet LA. But getting that strikeout, that inning, that strikeout meant so much to, I'd say this kid, but this is a 27-year-old man now. What he said in his presser, huge weight. A huge weight lifted off my shoulders. It was a breath of fresh air and like a new beginning. And that's where we're at with Dustin May. It is a new beginning. And before I get into what I really want to talk about in this whole narrative here, another piece of good that we can take away from Dustin and where he's at right now. He had mentioned that he didn't feel right, like when he was coming back from that Tommy John in 2023, or sorry, from the 2021 Tommy John, he didn't feel right. The arm never felt right, and we eventually saw it when it gave on him in 2023. He said never felt right. This one felt better right away, and he doesn't have the same pain. Of course, he had the forearm fixed around 4th of July in 2023, missed all of last season with the elbow, and then of course with his horrible fight with the salad, which is terrible. Another thing also for Mark Pryor, he refined the slider. And Kevin, I don't know if you saw that. I don't know. Was that part of the clip? What pitch did he throw? I'm watching it down here, but
no, it was just two same.
Okay, refine the slider grip, and what we're getting out of it, tweak the grip to add more depth, a tighter slider, which I love because we have often talked about him not having strikeout stuff. If we can get rid of some of this and add more of this, I think that all of a sudden becomes maybe – listen, there's a reason Clayton Kershaw has been able to get away with 3 pitches all of his career because he mostly has that nasty slider, and that will help. And that slider has that depth. If to have it drop under bats, especially against lefties for D-May, I think that goes a long way. So quickly – just thoughts on all of that before I read some tea leaves and kind of prognosticate here on some words from Mark Pryor.
No, I was actually kind of surprised that he didn't fully break down, not because of anything in particular, but it just reminded me a lot of when Clayton Kershaw got back on the mound last year, and you saw Ellen and the kids. Not that I have any right to call her by her first name. In the right field pavilion, just kind of like, breaking down. Breaking down in, at the excitement of Clayton striking out another batter and coming back from a pretty, the most significant surgery, or the only surgery he's ever had in his entire life, or at least his pitching career. I was surprised there wasn't a little bit more from D-May. So kudos to him for kind of keeping it composed, in that outing, because it is spring training, but it is big to see him get some strikeout stuff back. We've harped on it a little bit that he does pitch a little bit too much to contact, especially for how nasty his stuff is. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited. I just seeing that stuff again, seeing that red show flow on the mound, it hit a little different, and I was excited to see him back. I think he adds a little oomph either to the rotation or the bullpen, depending on where they decide to utilize him, how they decide to deploy him.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of people let us cheddar in the chat. I love it.
We got that. It's $10 super chat from our friend Diane. Clint, have you ever gotten a fight with a salad? No, and I also had a pre-show salad, wolf down a salad while setting everything up here, and I can report I win. I beat the salad. Guys, hit that like button if you want me to eat more salad.
We all love it. But back on the D-May stuff, I'm excited for him. I think this is going to be, obviously, it's his walk year. He's got to establish his own market, but just for the player, for the person, I'm excited to see what he can do. Because I do think if he's right, if he's healthy, there might not be a bigger X factor to this entire pitching staff than Dustin May. Because you want to talk about a guy who can like start a game for you, give you 4 innings, or a guy who could potentially close a game for you.
Yeah.
There's not a guy that can do both except Dustin May. So I think this is going to be a pretty pivotal year. And if the Dodgers do end up going, like, accomplishing their goals, it's going to be in large part to Dustin May's efforts.
Yeah, I mean, you hope. I really hope. I think we know Dustin May can do some very serious damage for this team, but we also understand that they've added a lot of talent for a reason. One part being that he hasn't been able to be on the field enough for this team over the last not 1 or 2 years, over the last 4 seasons. Dustin May has struggled to be on the field, and you can't say it's, through any fault of his own, but it's been a while. That's kind of the point. And if you listen to Dodgers pitching coach Mark Pryor, he's always great. We've had him on Dodgers territory a couple times. Love talking shop with him. He is very open. He is very honest, and he gives you time. He absolutely gives you time. But the question I have to set up this part of the show is, could the Dodgers be already kind of planning on holding Dustin May off, holding him back on that opening day roster? I think there is a chance that is a strong reality. And I think Mark Pryor kind of tipped the Dodgers' hand a little bit with May. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting in 2025. Whether you are a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, BetOnline is your ultimate game day companion. They have the largest selection of odds on everything from NBA, college basketball, NHL, UFC, and soon we'll get some MLB back in there. BetOnline continues to be your number one sports betting source. This I promise you, because they told me to say that. But every three-pointer to hat trick, BetOnline has you covered with odds, stats, and more for every game, every play, every win. BetOnline, the game starts here. I got a clip. We'll play the clip in a second, but the way I'm viewing Dustin May is, again, he hasn't pitched a whole lot for a while. This is a guy who could be held back in extended spring training, could open the season on the IL, a lot like we saw Walker Buehler last year, who was coming back from missing the better part of a year and a half from Tommy John surgery. As he continues his recovery, it could really help Dustin May just to kind of maybe start the season back a little bit more, build up some innings, build up some more repetitions, more than he's going to get in a shortened version of spring training. So let's listen to Mark Pryor for a couple of minutes, and then we're going to put on our Dodgers interpretation hats, and then we'll be back and talk about it. But here is Mark Pryor, the pitching coach.
Same with Dustin. Obviously, he got slowed, but it's something that was completely unrelated to throwing. But he also hasn't pitched a lot in 2 years, so his is a little bit of a different. He has a little bit different variable there. I forget, you made a handful of starts, in that 1 year. But again, he's going to progress. It might be a little bit more conservatively. Probably won't see us jump him, from one. We're not going to see us jump him 30 pitches, type of thing, or multiple innings. So he's probably going to take a very conservative, step up in his progression. But pitching today, you'll see him out there on a normal, rotation, take his turn the next spring training type of thing. Obviously the Japan trip throws a wrinkle in everybody's progression, with a lot of baseball decisions obviously to be made, but also like roster limitations and stuff like that. So that puts a little bit of some different context to a lot of these decisions. But as far as like baseball specific, they're going to continue to progress like a normal starter would, 1, 2, 3, and work their way into the season.
Because you have so many starters to juggle, a lot of questions about whether Dustin or Tony, I suppose, but mainly Dustin, could end up in a bullpen.
Yeah, I mean, again, right now we're building them up as starters, and then we'll see what happens in the next 3 weeks, and then if we have to pivot and make some different decisions, obviously, Gomer and Doc, and everybody will be involved in those discussions, and if we have to do something different from a baseball standpoint, we will. But as we've unfortunately seen early on, things happen. So you prepare to put everybody in the position that we expect them to be at their best. And if we have a situation where there's a surplus and we have to make a decision, then we make a decision. But I don't want to say we have plenty of time because it's only in a couple weeks. But we'll make those decisions and as an organization when the time's right.
All right, I pride myself as somebody who speaks Dodgers pretty dang well and understands. I think I understand what they're saying quite often here. That's the wrong button. It shouldn't say that one. But even so, this is the button I'm looking for. Could it be the right call to hold Dustin May off of the opening day roster? And as frustrating as it may be for Dustin May, it could be the right call for now because, again, he missed a lot of time over the last year, the last 2 years, the last 4 years. Let's not forget last year, again, we already talked about it, had the esophagus injury, a tear that required emergency surgery. He was bedridden for almost 2 weeks, wasn't allowed to work out or lift or throw. And even up to that point, before the injury, he told reporters yesterday, after his return to the mound, he said, I was about to start facing hitters. We had just laid out the concrete plan for me to return, build up, face hitters, go into rehab games and rejoin the team in whatever role. That was about to happen when the salad attacked him. So it doesn't hurt to let him continue to build up. Let him get closer to 100%. Even if he feels 100% healthy now, doesn't have a lot of reps. He hasn't thrown a whole bunch. It looks like he's kind of changed the arm angle, which is one of the things we talked about on Discord a little bit as well. It's okay, in my opinion, it's okay for him to take a little bit of time, kind of swallow his pride a little bit better than he was able to swallow. I'm sorry, it's so stupid. It's so bad to make the salad reference here. But listen, take a little time, get right, get some more reps, and then maybe be an option in mid-May rather than force an opening day nod.